Hello and welcome to part 15 of the Tim Burton style character series. This is David Ward, and when last I left you, we had just finished setting up the rigified generate rig to control Tim's body. So now that we have his body controllable, animatable, let's go ahead and tell you what. Let's just go ahead and clear out all of the everything. Alt G, Alt R, Alt S across all the bones, so it clears out any poses at all. And let's just go ahead and hide that rig. And what we're going to work on now is setting up some shape keys for the different facial expressions. So we'll create some smiles and frowns and open mouth, closed mouth, eyelids, eyebrows, everything that we need to be able to give his face the ability to, mimic facial expressions that a person would make when they're talking or just, in general. So we don't need all the clothes here, so let's just select all those if I can. And we'll just move them to their own layer. There, go and grab the tie as well. And boom. And I guess we need to do the shoes too. And boom. Okay, so now we'll just focus here on the face. So let's collapse this guy. Come over here, make sure you're in your Object Data tab. And we'll go ahead and hit the plus sign there on Shape Keys, and it's going to create a basis. Now, what the basis is just that. I think I might have explained this already, but the basis is the ground zero for all of the following shape keys to base, their movement from. So this is essentially, like I said, ground zero, and then, well, I'm just repeating myself now. So anyways, that's not an actual shape key. That's just the base for all the other ones. So we'll go ahead and create the first one. And what I like to start off with is making a smile on the left side. And then we'll copy that and do the right side and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and name this one smile.l. Now, one thing I noticed while playing with this in between part 14 and 15 here is, well, let me go ahead and show you. Let's grab the left side of the corner of the mouth, and we'll go ahead and create this left smile. So let's go ahead and turn on our proportional editing, and you'll notice when we turn that on, the X mirror here got grayed out, and that's fine because honestly we need to turn it off anyways. So let's go ahead and just drag this up, and we're going to create a shape key here where he's cracking a smile, just here on the left side though. So we'll get that up there, maybe see what it's starting to look like. It looks okay. Let's go a little bit more with it though, a little bit higher up, exaggerate it a little, and let's grab the smile lines here on his cheek, and let's drag those in a little bit more, so he's getting a nice crease in his cheek as he smiles. Okay, and then maybe we'll puff the cheek up a little bit as he squishes the flesh there upwards. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Okay, looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and tell you what. Let's go ahead and turn on subsurf so we can see how it'll a little bit closer how it will actually look once we start animating. So that looks pretty good. I'd like to have the lips stretch a little bit more in this area. So I'll tell you what, the teeth are kind of in the way right now. So let's go ahead and just select those, and then we'll Control L and just go ahead and hit H to hide them. And now we'll have a little bit easier, a little bit more elbow room. So we'll grab that part of the lip there, drag that up, maybe grab this one down here, and just kind of stretch that lip out, maybe right here a little bit too. If I can grab the right one. There we go. Okay, so now what we can do to copy that over to the other side is just run the value slider all the way up to 1.0, that's 100%, and now we'll hit the little black down arrow there and go new shape from mix, and it's essentially going to create a new shape from whatever shapes above it are in action. Right now the only one we have is obviously the smile.l, but it's set to 1, so when we create a mixture from this and everything else, since there is nothing else, it's essentially just creating a mix from this. So now if we turn this off all the way down to 0, you can see this new copy, or this mixture of the previous shape keys, is pretty much the exact, not pretty much, it is exactly the same thing. So let's go ahead and name that. I'll just mouse over Control C, and then mouse over this, Control V. And tell you what, let me turn my screencast keys on. I always forget to do that. We'll go and rename this to smile.r. Now, normally, you can just jump right in and copy that to the other side by just hitting the black arrow and go mirror shape key. But you see it's not working here, and honestly it took me a little bit to figure out why this wasn't working, but I finally did. And the reason is because when we created our model, it looks like everything's perfectly lined up to the center, and maybe relatively speaking it is, but the origin of the model is slightly off center. So one way to get it perfectly situated again is just select some of these vertices here in the center, and we'll go Shift S, cursor to selected, so it pops that 3D cursor right there in the middle, and we'll tab out of edit mode, object, transform, and origin to 3D cursor. So it put the origin of this model right there in the middle. So now when we mirror shape key, boom, it works now. So like I said, it took me a little while to figure that one out, and a lot of frustration too. So finally I got it. Now, one problem I see though, before I want to copy that over, I'd like to modify this smile a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that right one, and let's fix this left one up a little bit more. What I want to do is when you smile, the corners of your mouth don't just go straight up. You know, they kind of go back to you're kind of drawing them into your face. They're kind of along your teeth, sort of. So let's just drag that back just a little bit, and maybe we'll grab that corner again. Maybe drag it just a tad, and maybe up a little bit more. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll do the same thing, new shape from mix, and go ahead and name this one smile.r. There we go. Go and run that all the way up and bump mirror shape key, and there we go. So that smile looks a little bit better. Now, there's another thing you can do to save some time, and that's to use negative values. Right here, the range of these shape keys is 0 to 1, so that's 0% to 100% essentially. Now, say you want to make him frown, well, that's as far down as it's going to go. But if you set the minimum to a negative amount, it can go further down. It'll go essentially the opposite of what it did. Excuse me. So if he's smiling and the corners of the mouth are coming up, if we go to a negative number, say negative 0.5, we can drag that value slider down, and now it's like he's frowning. So that might save you some time. So you don't have to create a frown dot r and or dot l and dot r. You can just kind of negative the smile, and it'll turn the smile upside down. I guess it's got to be negative 0.5 there, doesn't it? Okay. So there you go. So that's a quick, easy way to do a frowning face from a smile face. So if we hit the X here, it'll cancel everything out, so we can start working on other things. And speaking of, let's go ahead and jump in and let's make his eyes be able to blink. So select that whole top eyelid there on the left side, and let's rotate our scene around to where we got the sides of it lined up. And we'll put our 3D cursor right there in the middle. If we can click just the right spot. There we go. And we'll hit the period button, so we're rotating around it. And now we'll just rotate these until it's about closed halfway. And now, one problem though. Oops. Undo. Okay. Well, let's select it again. I forgot to create a new shape key for that, so that would be part of the smile.l. We don't want that. So let's go ahead and boom, new shape key. And we'll say top lid. Actually, lid.t for top. You know, we're doing left and right, .l.r. So we'll do .t for top and .b for bottom, just to save some typing. So lid.t.l. So it's going to be lid, top left. And now we'll tab back in, get this lined up just right again. And now we'll go ahead and rotate it. Now, the problem I was talking about before is when shape keys are being applied, they don't rotate. Like I just rotated this. However, when the shape key is applied, it's not going to rotate like this. It's just going to go the quickest direction from point A to point B. So if we tab out of edit mode and we turn on our wireframe view, you can see that these points are, if you follow the corner here, it's not curving around, it's essentially going straight down. So the problem with that is since it's not rotating around, we'll accidentally be going through the eyeball at some point, as you can see right there. So one way we can kind of compensate for that is, let's rotate around, get our scene set back up, is we can kind of just scale the eyelid a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, and a little bit longer as well. And then, you know, if we keep messing with it, maybe also don't come down quite as far on the rotation. So we get that set back up. There we go. Let's rotate that back up just a little bit. Maybe scale it a little bit taller. So we go from there to there, and now it's good. And if you wanted to go a little bit further, you can kind of do the same thing we did on the smile, except instead of going below 0 on the minimum, you can bump the maximum up a little bit. So let's say maximum we want 1.25, and then we can bring that even further down. So there we go. Now, when we copy the shape key to the other side, we want to make sure that the value is set to 1, and then we'll give the max and min a little bit different on each setting, instead of, you know, having this one maxed out at 1.25 and then copy the shape key mix to this one, and this one's 100% would be this one's 1.25, if that makes any sense at all. So let's just, you know, keep everything at, when we're copying over, just keep everything at 100 and 0. So we'll go new shape for mix, and we'll just copy this lid.t.l, name it lid.t.r. There we go. And give that one a maximum of 1.25 as well. There we go. And we'll go ahead and say mirror shape key. So now when we run that up, boom, they're exactly the same. Now we're going to do the same thing we did with the lips, or with the smile, and give it a negative value as well. So when his eyes are open, he can open them a little bit wider, so like he's really shocked, really surprised. So let's say a negative 0.5 there, and we can say, wow, that's crazy, you know, or something like that. So this can save you a lot of time doing excess shape keys. Now, however, as you can see, that may not work so well sometimes, because like right now it's coming, the eyelids are coming away from the eyeball, so we're seeing the separation of the mesh there. So let's set this negative number a little bit smaller. Let's try negative 0.25 and see what that looks like. Still a little bit big, maybe negative 0.15, and I think that'll work okay. So let's set that to negative 0.15 on this one as well, and there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the bottom lid now. So we'll create a new shape key and make sure everything's zeroed out. There we go. And this one will be lid.b.l, so lid bottom left, and we'll tab in, select that bottom lid vertices there, and go ahead, and it's going to be rotating around the same 3D cursor that the top one did. So we'll just go ahead and rotate it about to right there. Okay, and then make sure that's not going through the eyeball at any point. Nope, good. And then we'll go ahead and give it a little bit more value so it can go all the way up to about half. So let's just do 1.5. And then make sure that the top lid will meet. So we need to go a little bit more. Let's set the top lid to 1.35, and maybe that'll give it that extra. Oops, 1.35. Well, if I can type it, 1.35. There we go. And I guess maybe up the bottom lid a little bit. Actually, instead of upping it, let's just rotate it a little bit more. And then maybe scale it a little bit bigger too. So there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that to 1.0. And actually, let's go ahead and give it a negative number too, so we can see what it's going to look like. Let's try negative 0.25 just to start off with. And that'll probably work just fine. Maybe negative 0.15, just like the top. Yeah, and that'll do it. Okay, so go ahead and set that to 1. And then go ahead and clear out this guy. And now we'll create a new shape from the mix. And copy this name, paste that, lid.b.r now. And go ahead and mirror that shape key, and boom. minimum negative 0.15, maximum 1.5. Okay. And then, did we change this one? Yes, so go ahead and change this into 1.35. Okay. So now we got the mouth, smile, and frown, and the eyelids open and close. So let's go ahead and X that out. Now let's go ahead and work on the eyebrow area. So we'll hit that and say brow.L. And let's just go in here and grab a couple of vertices here, maybe these as well. And make sure proportional editing is turned on there. And just go ahead and drag that down to maybe about right there. And maybe we'll kind of curve it. Let's go Control comma so we're not rotating around that 3D cursor anymore. Drag that in just a little bit. And maybe in this way too. Okay, value of 1. And go ahead and new shape for mix. Brow.R. Mirror that over. There we go. And we can go ahead and keep going with the excess sizes here. And then give it a negative amount, probably of negative 0.5 perhaps. I think that'll work. Maybe kind of see through the lid a little bit right there. So tell you what, let's jump into, well, no, I was going to jump in and edit that, but then I'd have to go back and edit that one. So let's just set this maximum amount to, say, 0.4. And then it won't come through. So, okay. Now we'll go ahead and see this. I guess I need to set it 0.4. There we go. Okay, so the maximum is 1.25. Minimum's negative 0.4. So let's go ahead and set those numbers on this one. Negative 0.4 and 1.25. There we go. Okay, so go ahead and clear everything out. One more shape key. This one will be for the brow, the middle brow. Say brow mid. Tab in here. Just select these two vertices here. And let's just drag those down a little bit. This will be kind of the angry expression. So we'll drag that about to right there. Tab out. See what it looks like. Good. Maybe give it a little bit more. 1.5 maybe. Yeah, and then we'll also give it a negative 0.5. So we can do a sad expression, maybe even further. Let's try negative 0.75. And then with the other brows down. Very sad, forlorn expression. Okay, so now we have the general expression set up. Now let's start going a little bit further, and let's get the jaw movement down. So let's go ahead and add one more shape key, and we'll say jaw down. Okay, we'll go to our side view. Let's put our 3D cursor about right there, and we'll go ahead and unhide the teeth. Alt-H. There we go. And we don't need to mess with the top ones, so let's go ahead and hide those back. So I'll just select a couple of vertices there, and let's go ahead and hide those. And now we'll select the bottom teeth and the gums and the chin a little bit there, and rotate around the cursor, and let's just rotate this down. Now we're not opening the mouth per se, we're just making the jaws go down. So let's even select a little bit further up the chin there so we get some more of the lip. Oops, rotate. There we go. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, so we'll call that good. And now since the face is being stretched down, essentially, let's close these lips back up. So let's select the top lip there, and go ahead and just drag that down until it meets the bottom lip, decreasing our fall off in the proportional editing as we go. Okay, and now since the skin is being stretched vertically, it's going to get a little bit thinner, so let's select a loop around the lips and just go ahead and scale that, actually Control comma, so it's centered. And we'll just scale that a little bit on the x-axis so it looks a little more narrow as it stretches down. And let's go ahead and make sure the rest of the lips are closing off. And let's just go in here. Okay, so lips down. So it could be like he's chewing gum or something. Now, one thing I don't really like right now is the nose is really stretching out too. Now, I know it would stretch out a little bit, but not that much. So let's do a little trick that'll fix that. So we just go back to basis, and we tab into edit mode, and we select all these vertices here on the nose, and I don't know, maybe that one as well. And we do a thing called shape propagate. And what that's going to do is it's going to say, hey, this is what the nose needs to be like across all of the shape keys. So it's not going to move at all. It's going to reset every position. So we'll go shape propagate, just hit spacebar and start typing it, and it'll come up, and there we go. And boom. So now when we move the jaw down, you can see the nose does not move at all. Now I would like it to move a little bit. So let's tab back in here, and let's just kind of spot shape it. So we'll select the bottom of the nostril separator there, and then just grab a vertex from each bottom of each nostril, and we'll just drag it slightly down. So about like that, perhaps. So now that looks a little bit better. Okay, and also let's make the smile lines come in a little bit. So let's just scale those. Okay. There we go. So that looks a little more natural, huh? Okay, so now we can move the jaw down. Let's make it so we can wiggle the jaw back and forth. So if he's eating, it's going to go chomp, in a circular motion. So let's go ahead and do that. Create a new key. Call this one jaw.l. Okay, and we'll come in here, select the teeth and the gums, and then the chin, big portion of the chin, and then we'll go to our front view and just move it on the x-axis. So just grab it all, hit G, and then X, and just drag it over. And maybe increase it a little bit as we need to get the lips on there. Okay. So now it'll go left. Alright, so let's go ahead and copy this to the other side so it can go to the right as well. So we'll say new shape from mix. Call this one jaw.r. And we'll go ahead and mirror that. So now that when this one is zeroed out, it'll go to the right. So one more thing I want to do with the jaw. So let's hit one more, and we'll say jaw out. So we're going to have to jut the jaw out just a little bit. So let's just like so. Okay. So now we've got pretty much all we need, except the mouth is not opening. So let's have a couple to open the top lip and then one to open the bottom lip. So we'll just create one more. Let's say top lip. Or I guess we could do like we did on the eyelids, just say lid.t. Okay, and then we'll select a portion of the top lip here. Oops, wrong one. There we go. And just drag that up, decrease our fall off so it's not getting the bottom lip at all. Let's go to our front view so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. And then maybe we'll scale that down a little bit so it's not so sharp pointed right there. And maybe we'll kind of snarl just a tad as he's lifting his top lip up. Oops. There we go. Well, if I can grab the right vertex, we'll be good to go. All right. Okay, and then we'll also kind of do like we did on the jaw. As he opens his mouth, it's going to get a little bit more narrow. There we go. So now we can say lip. Actually, that needs to be lip instead of lid. There we go, lip T. And I can see that the nostril came up a little bit too high, so let's fix that. You can do the shape propagate again if you'd like, but I'm just going to save time and just do it manually there. Might need to have some of this bulge out a tad. And let's go ahead and make use of the sculpt mode. We'll get the smooth tool. And I can see there's some smoothing I'd like to do along the lip. Oops. Huh. That solves a question I had earlier. For some reason, it's making the teeth disappear. That's weird. Maybe because they're hidden. So let's unhide them and come back out. And that's weird. If they're hidden and you go into sculpt mode, it deletes them. That's weird. Must be a bug. That solves a question I had before. I was playing with this earlier. The teeth went missing, and I couldn't figure out where they went. I guess that's where they went. I used the sculpt tool. Okay. So now let's go ahead and do the bottom teeth. Let's say lip.b. Okay. I guess we could say lips.t. That'll might make it a little more, obvious as to what it's doing. So now let's go ahead and grab the vertices for the bottom lip. Go to our front view, scale down, or not scale down, but move down. And then we'll select the loop. If I can grab one. Well, select the right loop. Come on. There we go. Scale a little on the x-axis. And then grab that vertex there. Oopsie. And grab that one. And round it down a little bit. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Good. And maybe smooth that out just a little bit. Corners of the mouth. Okay. So now, I think what I want to do also is let's go back to the basis. Go to our side view over here. And the teeth are kind of separated right now. Even though the mouth is closed, the teeth are a little separated. But I think they should be clamped together. So let's go ahead and select these bottom teeth. Okay, so sorry, just had a phone call I had to take. Where were we at? Moving the teeth together. So we're in basis, and we're going to move these teeth a little bit closer together so they're actually clamped together when the mouth is closed. So now, if we come out of here, come back down to the lips open, and go ahead and open those up. Since we did that in basis, the teeth should now be sealed together. So you can also kind of play with these and say smile. A big old cheesy smile. Like, hello, how are you today? I'm doing good. Anyways, so now there's only one shape we really need to do further. I mean, you can go further and make some for the tongue and everything if you like, but I'm just going to make one more basic one, and that's going to be the ooh shape that the lips make. Like when you say ooh or o or w sound or anything like that. So we'll just say this lips ooh. And there's actually, let's just say, let's say lips.t for the top lip, and we'll say front, or forward, I suppose. So I want to make the top lip come forward. So the reason I'm separating them out is because, like, if you want to say F, the bottom lip is going to go back, but the top lip's not. So we'll just give this a little bit more control. So we'll say the top lip out. So let's select these vertices here, and we'll come out. Oops, that's the bottom lip, isn't it? No, that's not right. This must be. This one is. There we go. There it is, hiding real cleverly. So let's move that out, and maybe select the loop, maybe bring it in a little bit. So the top lip out. Actually, let's just make that .o for out instead of .f for front or forward. And then we'll also give it a negative value. So let's say negative 0.25. So now I can kind of suck in his lip there, maybe a little bit further. I guess I got to set that in here, don't I? Okay, I think that'll be fine for that. Now we'll go ahead and create one final one. Lips dot b dot out. I guess it would be IO for in out, but it doesn't matter. That's purely your decision on the naming convention, just as long as you name it something that's descriptive. Okay, and so this will come out, maybe down just a little bit too. And then I'll also round this off a little bit. Okay, so out, and then let's give it a negative value, say negative 0.35. And I guess we need to set the top to 0 to be able to see anything there, so I'll go ahead and 0 that one out. Let's give that a negative 0.5. Not that one, silly self. Negative 0.35 on the top one. Grab the bottom one. There we go. And negative 0.5. There we go. Let's see what that looks like. So now you could say F. Almost looks like you're saying F there. And if we put them both out, and then open the jaw a little bit, and the lips up, now you could be saying ooh, almost. So anyways, those will work, I believe, for all the facial expressions we need to make. So running out of time here, 31 minutes, wow. Let's go ahead and go to object mode. We'll go ahead and save this as Tim 15. And in part 16, we'll come in and start setting up some controllers for each of these. We'll add to the rig and create some controllers to control the expressions there. A lot easier than trying to go through each one and do it individually. So that being said, that's going to be all for part 15. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in part 16.